Ladies and gentlemen, the event will be starting in a moment. Please make your way to the performance area. No food and drink are allowed in the performance area. Thank you.
How are you all today? Good, nice to hear about that. All right, welcome to Ad America. My name is Angi, and I'm one of the guides at Ad America. And if you have any questions related to Ad America, please do not hesitate to ask me or the other fellow e-guides outside this area. So, who has been to Ad America before? I've got some hands. Okay, for those of you who haven't, I would like to explain a little bit about Ad America. So basically, Ad America is an American cultural center. We provide free exciting events and also services. We have iPads, Google Liquid Galaxy, Xbox, and also 3D printers. And for the upcoming events at Ad America, we will have, this is a concert, Philistine and Nova, Drapetomania. This is on Friday, 29th of September 2017 from 7 till 8:30 p.m. If you are interested to join us to see the concert, please come to Ad America. And next, we also have another presentation about Get the Facts about the U.S. college admissions process. This is on Saturday, 30th September 17 from 7 till 8:30 p.m. If you're interested to pursue a high degree in the United States, please come join us. And we have a free service that we call Education USA. Again, if you're interested, please meet our advisor, who is always standby every day from 1 till 9 p.m. Except for Saturdays, they are standby much more earlier, which is from 10 a.m. till 9 p.m. Maybe you would like to ask about how to apply to the universities in the United States or scholarships which is available, please come to Ad America. And these are all the highlights that we have held events at Ad America. If you don't want to miss them out, please become our member by visiting our website at www.adamerica.or.id. Click register, connect to Facebook, fill in your name and also your email address, and later on you will be officially our member. The benefit is that we will send you a weekly newsletter only once a week about upcoming events at Ad America. And these are all our social media platforms. Please add or follow our social media. And if you have Twitter, mention us at Ad America and use the hashtag Ad America, and your tweets will be shown on your right side, which is that wall. Okay, are you interested? Do you want to see today's presentation? All right, then help me call Daniel Schultz, CDA of U.S. Mission to ASEAN. Please give a round of applause.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. How are you today? Good. Okay, salamat sore. Okay, it's my pleasure to be here at America today with all of you for the Women Who Lead panel discussion. I've really been looking forward to this event because we have such a great group of leaders whom you'll be meeting soon, and they'll be joining us, and we have a great audience with us here too, so thank you. In the audience today, we have 40 young women who are attending the U.S. ASEAN Women's Leadership Academy for YSEALI. The group includes, yes, please, give them a hand. Great. And I understand we have some other visitors who've dropped in today, and that's great, so a warm welcome to you too. The group includes representatives from all 10 of the ASEAN member states. That's something that's really important to us with regard to YSEALI events. And they were selected to participate in a 5-day interactive workshop to build leadership skills. For those of you in the audience or watching us online who might not be familiar with YSEALI, it's an acronym that stands for Young Southeast Asian Leaders Initiative. It is the U.S. government's signature program to strengthen leadership development networks in Southeast Asia. I happen to be lucky enough to be the U.S. ambassador in Brunei in 2013, and that was just when YSEALI was getting launched. Anybody from Brunei here? Yes, all right, good. So that was just when YSEALI was getting launched, and it was very exciting. And I think looking at it from that perspective, it's kind of incredible to see what YSEALI has grown into today. Through a variety of programs, including trips to the United States, regional workshops, and small grants, YSEALI builds leadership capabilities of young people, strengthens ties with the United States, and most important of all, fosters an ASEAN community. YSEALI will be 4 years old this December with more than 100,000 self-selected members from all 10 ASEAN countries. If you're not yet a member, it's easy. Just go to the website and subscribe. YSEALI is open to all citizens of ASEAN who are between the ages of 18 and 35. And you can sign up right here at America after this program. Today's panel represents a very impressive group of leaders. They have lots of experience, and I'm confident that their advice will be useful to you. We also want to hear from you, so after we talk for a bit, we'll open the floor for comments and questions. The goal of the panel is not to be some kind of a self-contained event, but rather to fuel conversations on how to increase women's participation in leadership roles. I hope that all of you are already thinking about your own potential roles as future women leaders or how you can support women's leaders. If you want to tweet or blog or post during the event, you can use the hashtag YSEALI Women. Now I'd like to introduce our impressive group of panelists and invite them to join me on stage. First, Donna Priadi. Donna is Government Affairs and Policy Director for GE Indonesia, part of the GE Global Growth Organization. Donna? Thanks. Okay, so let me introduce Donna. It's part of the GE Global Growth Organization. Before joining GE, she worked in the oil and gas industry for almost 20 years, starting with Arco, BP, and lastly, Pertamina, an Indonesian state-owned enterprise. She's been responsible for various positions from project engineer, commercial and business development, to management positions in communications, public and government relations. Donna graduated from Indonesia's Bandung Institute of Technology with an architecture engineering degree and got her MBA degree from the University of San Francisco in the USA. So one more time, let's have a hand for Donna. Okay, next, Ella Nusantoro. Ella, if you could please come up. Thank you. Ella joined Credit Suisse in July 2010 with extensive experience in Indonesia. Her main coverage includes Indonesia's consumer and cement sectors. Prior to that, she was with Citigroup for 3 years and Bahana Securities for 7 years. She holds a Bachelor of Science degree from California State University, Fresno, and an MBA from University of San Francisco. A 15-year experience in the Indonesian equity market has provided Ms. Nusantoro with a wide network of both local and foreign investors, as well as a deep understanding of companies in the consumer, media, and cement sectors. Combining these experiences had made Ella one of the top analysts in her sectors. So one more time, applause for her. Thank you. And last but not least, Elvera Makki. She is the country head. Please come forward for corporate affairs at Citi, Indonesia. In this role, Ms. Makki oversees the corporate affairs function, which includes external, executive, and internal communications, as well as citizenship, CSR, and corporate events. Elvera is the first Indonesian who earned an accredited business communicator in 2010 from the International Association of Business Communicators, headquartered in San Francisco. So if you're noticing, there's a San Francisco theme here today. In 2016, Vera was named 50 Asian women leaders by CMO Asia. In early 2017, Vera received another recognition as one of the most 100 impactful CSR leaders global listing from the CSR World Congress. Vera is also a founder of Books Tech, Books, Storytelling, and Technology, which combines 3 key activities of reading books, storytelling, and increasing digital savviness among kids. So one more time, let's hear it for Vera. Okay, so let me join the panelists here. Okay, so colleagues, welcome. Thank you very much for making time today. For each question, I will start with one panelist, but I hope that everyone will join in the discussion. So for the first question, I'll start with Donna. What is one skill or characteristic that you think is essential to being a good leader?
I think the most essential skill that any leader should have is honesty and sincerity. Without honesty and sincerity, everything will be very, very much blurred, and then people will not believe in you. So as long as you have honesty and sincerity, I think you will be a good leader.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay. Does anyone else have any comments on that theme before we move on to the next question?
I think building trust, I think it's very, very important. I think between you and your colleagues at work, you have to be able to build trust among each other, in addition to what Donna actually mentioned earlier.
Excellent, excellent.
Yes, I think that questions, there are a lot of skills and characteristics that we need to build, right? There is no one single skills or characters that we need to have, especially in this era of digitizations, for example, and globalizations. I think we need to have a mix of characters and skills. But what I see that is very relevant today is grit. If you don't know grit, you can Google. Grit is basically like your passion. Because with passion, I think grit is more than passion. So when you have a strong willingness to achieve your dream, others will follow. So make sure that when you want to achieve your dream, you know that it's really something that you really want. And based on that, you will sure that, and you have a self-confidence that you can achieve it. So grit is very important. And at young age like you, it's, you still have plenty of time to build and strengthen your grit.
Thank you. Okay, thanks. Okay, for the next question, I'd like to start with Ella. What is the biggest challenge facing leaders today?
I think we are never be educated to be a leader. I think leader is somewhat that you are born with it. Born doesn't mean that you are 5-year-old and you know yourself you're going to be a leader, but you develop your own skill and becoming a leader, a good one or a bad one. I think everybody will be able to judge it in the later stage. But I think the challenge that is facing today is people don't really understand what does it mean as a leader. Is it like I built a successful company, then I'm a good leader? Or I have to satisfy all my employees, then I'm a good leader? What I think people have been misunderstood is that you have to build through generations, whether it's a family business or whether it's a multinational companies, that you have to build somewhat who is your next generation. You have to be able to bring up the next young generation to be the next leader. That's what I think.
I think there is no easy way to be a leader. I want all of these young leaders to understand that it is hard to be a good leader. Takes a lot of courage, a lot of grit, a lot of trust building, and a lot of knowledge as well. Especially today, the challenge is we live in what we call it VUCA. It's volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world. That term is based on the U.S. Army, I think, when they were in a war in Afghanistan. They thought that it's a VUCA world. It's hard to, you don't really know what's going on. A lot of things changing. It's globalization, it's digitalization. What is it? So you have to have to be equipped with all the passion and the decisiveness and the sincerity, the honesty that you have. And you have to be adaptive to what's happening outside of your world. You have to keep your eyes and your ears open at any time. You have to listen to your intuition. You have to, sometimes it's kind of lonely up there being a leader. So it's important to have a mentor, to have a support group, to have peers that can help you face through all the challenges like that. So that's what I thought.
I think for you to be a good leader, there is no one single ingredient. It also depends on what kind of leadership style that you really want to be. And then you can be a leader and a follower at the same time, because, like, for example, like we discussed yesterday, there is like, it's like give and take between being a mentor and being a mentee. We can be a mentor at the same time being a mentee. So likewise, as a leader, probably when you go back to your school, for example, or at work, you are a leader for your team. But when you are at home, for example, you are the team member of the big family that you have, for example. It's like that. So what is needed as a leader is for you to be able to be flexible. So some people asking yesterday how to balance between work-life balance, for example. I would prefer to say work-life flexibility right now, because there's no such a balanced life. And if your goal is to pursue how to have really a balance 50-50, you will never get there and you will end up frustrated. So I think what's important right now to be a leader is for you, like what she explained, to be trustworthy and to have a good integrity, have a good ethics. In the end, the smartest doesn't mean that you are the best leader, but you have to balance it between IQ and EQ.
And Vera, next question, if I may, if you could give your 25-year-old self one piece of advice, what would it be?
You're still 25, right?
Oh, yeah. The future.
Okay, to give advice to myself,
Yeah.
Ambassador? Okay. I think learning from my past experience when I was 25, it's like almost 15 or almost 20 years ago. Well, I would say that the best advice for me is to be brave, because at that time I wasn't brave enough to decide, to design my career, to design my life. Everything I'm waiting from my parents, from my mother, what should I do at that time? So if at that time I got the opportunity or time or braveness to think of what really matters to me at that time, what I really want, probably I will reach more dreams than I have right now. So be brave.
Okay. I will not take things for granted, especially on health and physical health. Basically, when you were 25, when I was 25, all I did was actually work. You were chasing something. Probably you're chasing career, you're running around because your kids are small, and you forgot something very important, which is sports. You don't do enough activities. You sit a lot, you work a lot. So if I can go back, I will do more of those. I'll do more Pilates, I'll do more yoga, I'll clear my mind. That's actually the most important thing that I regretted of not doing. But I think another thing is actually trying not to be complacent. Because when you were 25, you are in a good spot of working in a nice, you're building your career, and everybody seems so nice. You take things for granted in a way. You become complacent. Like Donna mentioned, you kind of like not be brave of trying something new, which is in a way, sometimes it's good decision, sometimes it's bad decision. But in a way, you just got to explore more opportunities out there.
Thanks. Donna?
If I can give myself, my 25 years old self, I would try to find my purpose. I would try to be more focused, because at that time I was more like in enjoying life mode. At that time, it's not that I don't recommend to enjoy life when you're young, but find your purpose, know your stuff, know your thing. Find one thing that you really want to do and start building it. Try to see a way in the future, 10 years from now, what you want to be, 20 years from now, who do you want to be. When I was 25, this is a very contained, I was like enjoying life to the fullest. I like dancing, I like singing, I like, going out with my friends, and I didn't regret any of it because that networking stays until this day. So don't forget to do your networking while you're still young, because when you're older, you kind of lose those friends, those networks. Everybody goes here and there. So while you're 25, try to make friends, as many friends as you can. Try to find your own focus. And also, like Ella said, I would have done more sports because I just started running marathons 3 years ago when I was 42. So I just wish, what did I do when I was 20? Why didn't I do this? Now I'm training for triathlon, for Ironman. Yes, but I thought that I wish I could have done this when I was 25. So do whatever you want to do, but find your purpose so you can have a brighter future in your life. So that would be my advice.
Okay, thanks. Okay, Donna, if I could follow up, what was the best decision that you made that moved your career forward?
Decisions always come every day. Life is full of decisions. I think every decision that I took, I couldn't select one of the best because even the bad decision, the impact, can be a good one. It was not a bad decision, but maybe I haven't seen the good one from my decisions. So don't be afraid to make any decision. Think about it, and then be bold, take a risk, and I think just be confident because without confidence and passion, you won't go anywhere. So I think just be brave, like Farah mentioned. Take a risk, be bold, and make decisions.
How about you, Ella?
I think one is focus. I think Donna mentioned earlier. I think you have to be really focused on what you're doing. It can be boring because at times, at first you like it, but then your friends are doing something else, seems like more fun, but why you keep doing the same thing? But in the end, I think that is the best decision that I made. I stayed where I am. I focus on what I'm doing. I become somewhat specialist on it. Back then, when Indonesia started, there's not many actually equity analysts. So I think that, in between, there's always a temptation of actually changing career, doing something more fun, doing something else. But in the end, I think today I don't regret my decision of not pursuing it. There's always still time for me. But I think where I am today is because I'm focused on what I'm doing.
Thanks. Vera?
Okay, the best decision in my life, of course, is not one or two. There are a couple of best decision-making moments in my life. And there are two sides of story. The first decision that I made when I was 26, when I got married. Because when I was 25, my mom kept chasing me, asking me every day when I got married. So finally, when I was 26, I married, and I can make my parents, my mother, happy at that time. That's actually a little bit two sides of story. At the same time, I was hope that I was brave enough at that time to really think through about my career. But then I catch up. So I think the best lesson learned from me, we cannot win all at one time, and we cannot win everything that we want all the time. So what we need to do is to manage expectation of ourselves and our loved ones, including our parents, my husband, at that time my partner, my boyfriend, and then my siblings, for example. All people surround us have expectation toward us. And sometimes if we listen too much to them, it's tiring, right? Sometimes we want to listen to ourselves, have time to think through what's actually what I want, not based on advice from my parents, for example, but exactly from my own willingness. So the best decision that I made, the first one, that one, and the second one, it's really to pursue my career, at the same time also trying to be the best parents for my children.
Okay, thank you. So going back to something that Vera had mentioned earlier, and Ella, I'd like to ask you about this, the question of work-life priorities. I think, Vera raised the question, can you really balance them, or do you have to be flexible? But in any case, however it works, how do you manage work and life priorities?
I think Farah mentioned there's no such thing. Believe me, there's no such thing. That's only in textbook. But flexibility is very, very important. And I work in a company that gives me a lot of flexibility and understanding. Again, as a woman with 2 kids, grown-up kids, it's very, very difficult. But what I found that is actually you need the most is your support system. I think Donna mentioned it earlier. Support system can be anything. First, of course, you depend on your family. Second, you depend on your friends. And third, you depend on your gadgets. Especially today's world, the technology helps you a lot. That's why you find your work and family balance. What I mean by that is that you can always do work from home. You can do your work from anywhere pretty much. When you're on holiday, when you're on the plane, you can do it. It's a lot helps you in terms of your time. One thing that you have to remember for myself is that you never sacrifice your kids. I will never miss my daughter's birthday, for example, because I think that's the most important thing in their life. But, I might miss here and there, but I try to always be there. It's never been easy because, again, the work is always 24/7. It never ends. And especially in my work, pretty much is very male-dominated. But again, everybody has family, so they understand what you actually went through. So I think it's very, very important.
Thanks. Donna?
I think I echoed whatever all Ella said, because I'm feeling the same way too. I'm a wife and I'm a mother of 18 and 14 years old teenagers. And support system is very important. And for those of you who are still single, finding the right partner is very important. I'm telling you now, speaking from experience, 20 years of marriage. And if you find the right partner, he or she can support you along the way. In Indonesia or in Asia, we are still lucky because we have our family and our strong support system. It's easy to find like nanny or relatives that can help us raising our children. But never, never, never be away from your children, like Ella said. Always be there for them. Try to be flexible, manage your expectation, find a good partner, the best partner that we can work together and understand that you have your own life, your ambition, your work, your priorities. So that's very, very important because we have to be ourselves. Don't be someone else. I agree that you cannot have it all at the same time, all the time, but you can have it all at the right time. So that's it.
Vera, is there anything else you'd like to add on that? I know you talked about it a bit, but is there anything you'd like to add? Okay. No, thanks. You've already covered. Okay. So, Vera, my next question for you, what do you think is the most significant barrier for women leaders?
The significant barriers for women being a leader, I think it depends on the environment that you are right now and what kind of job that you have, whether you work for male-dominated companies or environment, for example, or you work in a family-oriented type of multinational company, for example. So it really depends. But what I learned and talk with many people, many female leaders, the barriers is actually within ourselves. So it's us who don't want to go far, for example. It's us who don't want to get the opportunity to go abroad, for example, to get exposure in other countries, for example. Because we have so many thoughts. Like, for example, women supposedly not being the breadwinner in the family, for example, and this is our way to respect our husband, for example. Or we thought that we are not good enough in the board meeting. We cannot say much, for example. We don't argue in the board meeting, for example. While if we do that, probably the rest of the member will accept that. It's just us being doubt with our own thoughts. So usually it's the barrier is coming from ourselves. So if we can beat that, if we can be more confident in what we are doing, why we are doing it, we know the purpose, and everything is for the good intention, I think we can solve that barriers. We can solve their problems.
Thanks. Ella, any thoughts on that, barriers?
I think similar to what Farah was saying. Actually, it's us ourselves. Because you have kids at home, you tend to not to pursue higher level. On where you did that, you think like you kind of neglecting your family because you spend too much time at work. I think in a way it's really on self, but you just have to have confidence on what you're actually doing. It might be late. Because of all our barriers that we might be late in pursuing our career because of family, but I don't think that is the reason of not doing it. You don't have to be a director at the age of 25 because the guy sitting next to you is actually a director already. But you don't have to. But because you are actually pursuing something good with a purpose in life, I think that should be where it is.
And women tend to think too much. We think about what will other people think about us. We think about, we try to make everybody's happy. We worry if whatever our decision will be wrong or will ruin the company or, things like that. So we're not brave enough, like Ella and Farah said. So here we encourage all of the leaders to start breaking that barrier and start to equip yourself with ample knowledge, with ample confidence to keep moving forward. Even though the result you cannot see like directly, like right now, the pace, because we have other priorities like family, like husband, but you still have to do it and make decision and then keep moving forward and keep your voice heard, like in board meetings, because if we can do that, you all can do that. Don't worry about it. Keep thinking forward and keep building your confidence and start building your career from now.
And Donna, I'd also like to ask, can you name a person who has had a significant impact on you as a leader?
Indonesian, I would say Ibu Sri Mulyani, our finance minister. I really admire her. She's like a person that we can all look up to. She's very smart. She's a minister, and then she's a mother. She's a wife, and then all of her decisions are very bold and very. She's not afraid of everything. She knows what she's doing. She's a person of purpose, and all of us, myself especially, look up to her and always follow her Instagram. I think it's a good motivation. It's a good motivation if you have someone that you can look up to, especially for women. Honestly, not many Indonesian women that can be a role model for us here. I encourage you to follow Ibu Sri Mulyani's Instagram, because she shares everything in her Instagram, her thoughts, her decision, even her challenges and her doubt and her thoughts. So I think it's a very good way to motivate yourself to have a role model like that.
Ella, is there someone who's inspired you as a leader?
I think there's a lot. don't think I can name one. I guess in a way, I always think that each of us should, I think Donna and Farah mentioned earlier, basically, each of us has to have a mentor that we look up to. I remember when I was a freshman, graduate from school, my mentor was actually coming to me and say, like, when you work, you have to work hard. You cannot depending on anyone, but you just have to be yourself. I guess in a way, along the way, throughout my career, you always find somebody that you can look up to. Not necessarily about work, but it's about your character building as well. I think that is very important because when we grow up, we always be our parents. But when we are out there, we are becoming somebody else. So whether you become a positive person or negative person, or you become whoever what you are, it's because of your character building, which is developed starting from your college time towards your work time. And your work time is a long time, which is like we've been doing this for 20 years. So within the last 20 years, I've met so many of good people that you can actually look up to. It doesn't necessarily to be, for me, it doesn't necessarily be somebody who's famous, but it is somebody who you think that you can actually rely on, you can actually ask for help, and mentoring you along the way.
Well, what about you, Farah? Is there someone who's inspired you as a leader?
Yes, actually I get inspired very easily by many people. So I get energized easily because I look differently for many people. But on top of that, my role model is always be my mother. Although she's not a businesswoman, she's actually a housewife with some business on the side. But what I admire from her is that she very determined and very confident with the values that she has and how she bring that values into the family. And although almost all of her children, there are 4 of us, all of us having like a master's degree, for example, and she's only a high school graduate. But we listen to her because she has a very strong values, and it's a very solid, strong values that she brings to all of us. And I think because of that, she's really persistent in what she's saying and what she believes we should pursue. So one is my mom. And the other role models, for example, even from the young musicians or the young singer like Katy Perry, I admire Katy Perry because of her hard work. She's very persistent and she's never give up in. If you read or if you watch how she really strive for her career until where she is right now is very excellent. I mean, there are a lot of ups and downs, and what she can do is she can beat all of the barriers and all of the challenges. So the second one is Katy Perry. And as well as many other leaders like Ibu Sri Mulyani, I follow her Instagram as well, read many thoughts that she put over there, and as well as her doubt, for example, or her family activities that she has every day. So what I'm saying here is that don't only have, like Ella said, don't only have one single role model, for example, but really look at the different characters, different personalities, and learn from there. And that can help you to be the best version of yourself.
Thank you. Farah, I have a follow-up question for you, and this may be a little sensitive, but you said you admire Katy Perry. What's your view about Taylor Swift?
I love Taylor Swift. Especially the new song, you know?
They don't get along.
They don't get along. I love both of them in their own way. I admire their songs.
Yeah. Great, thank you.
Actually, Ambassador, I
yes.
think it's good to have your own song. It's, to lift your spirit when you're down.
Yes.
When you have problems, because we women usually relate ourselves to something, and then songs are good example for lifting yourself or boost your confidence when you're down. Like when I grew up, always my lift up song is I Will Survive. So I just like I will survive, boost my confidence. But now my song is a fight song. It's a very good song. Bring back my fight song, and then you just move on, and then you can conquer the world, and it will be okay. Yes. So I think that's a good thing to when you're down, you find your song, and then you listen to it. You listen in the car when you're driving. It will boost your energy and your confidence.
That's great. That's a great point. Anyone else want to chime in with suggested songs?
That's why you got to subscribe to Spotify, and then
Spotify,
Mood
okay.
Booster is actually the best one.
Okay. Sure, do it. A song?
Katy Perry.
One is Katy Perry. I love many songs. I used to be an announcer when I was in the college, so I love playing songs. So like Donna mentioned that anything that can boost your energy and make yourself inspired, just do it, just listen to it. Get as much energy as possible while you are young.
Great. Okay, and then the last question for all of you. Donna, maybe you can start us off if you'd like, but what are some tips you can share for the audience in terms of helping women build strong presentation or public speaking skills?
Okay, for me, the three keys that you need to have when you are presenting is, the first one is, again, know your stuff. You just have to know your stuff. If you don't know, you try to know, find out more, read more. You have to know your stuff. You know what you're going to present. And then the second one is rehearse and practice. Practice, practice, practice. Rehearse, rehearse, rehearse. Even though the professionals, they still have nervousness, and they still have like goosebumps or stomach ache before even the actors still have it. So practice, practice, rehearse, rehearse. And the third one, look immaculate, dress to kill. From head to toe. If something wrong with your hair, or with something wrong with your button, or if something wrong with your pants or whatever, you will be, like nervous, and your confidence will be good down. If you had a bad hair day or whatever, so it will ruin your presentation. Believe me, maybe Farah and Ella will. So it's a show time all the time. So that's basically it.
Thanks. All right, Ella.
Totally agree. Dress to kill. Basically, you need to dress to kill every single day, because that's what Oprah said. You never know who you're gonna meet. So basically, I think important thing, obviously, you have to know your stuff. You have to read a lot. I guess it's not really just beyond what is actually you're presenting, but it's like beyond to that, because you never know what's the audience gonna ask you. Like, I don't know what you guys gonna ask us today, so we just gotta be prepared. Then second thing is, of course, you have to be confident. Confidence can be in any terms. You always nervous, you think you're not good enough, but you are good enough. I remember that one time that when I was a junior, then I have to go abroad and present about my stuff, which is all the Indonesian sectors. I was so nervous because that's the first time I go by myself. So my mentor actually was telling me, it's like, why? Because you should know everything about Indonesia better than somebody who's living in the US. Sorry about that. But basically, you just got to be confident, because you know your stuff well, so there's no way that you're not going to kill that presentation.
Thanks. Elvera?
I think I agree with what Donna and Ella mentioned. And yeah, practice is very important. And secondly, I remember one of my coach said to me that the showtime is actually not only on the stage, but showtime is actually since you wake up in the morning. So make sure that everything that you say, how you throw your ideas, and how you exchange ideas with your friends, that happen and that becomes a practice every day. So when you are really in front of everyone and you have to present, it will come naturally.
Excellent. Well, I'd really like to thank the panelists for their responses to the questions that I had. Now to mix things up, I'd like to open the floor to the audience. So I hope you've been starting to think about some questions you may have for the panelists. And so what I'd like to ask is for the people who have questions, if you can just raise your hands, and then someone with a microphone will come and speak in the microphone, identify yourself, and ask your question. So go ahead, please. Okay. I think the young lady there, yes.
My name is Sokha. I'm from Cambodia, and thank you for your sharing. It's very inspiring me. And I had the question that how can I or other girl become a good leader in young age, and how do they manage their life or manage their time? For example, they need to have time for personal life, for personal development, for family, for work, for society also.
Okay, so the question is, how can a young woman balance those various things and become a leader at a young age?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone from the panel want to take a shot at that?
Of course, you have to start to wake up early. That's one. I read last night that actually Michelle Obama actually start her day at 4 a.m. I mean, I can't do that. But I guess in a way, try to manage time. Like I think we mentioned earlier that there's no such thing as perfect. You cannot have it all, but you can have it all at the right time. I mean, if you can't attend this course, doesn't mean that you're missing out. There's always another time, but you just have to be focused on what you're doing. Between balancing between work and family is the most important. Sometimes one win over the others, but you just got to balance pretty much who's the winner this time, or probably next time who's the winner. So pretty much is how you actually balance between both. And there's no right formula on it. It's just that you learn by doing. You become good at it when the time comes. But again, having a good mentor, support system, that actually helps the most. Because without that, you can't do it all by yourself.
So basically it's about prioritizing and really know what's your goal. And yesterday we learned about SMARTs, right? Like goal setting that is specific, measurable, and realistic, and you know the timeline step by step how to achieve that. So really focus on that. What will be your priority? For example, when I was 25, 26, for example, my priority is really to boost my career. That's it. But at the same time, I was pregnant at that time. So how to balance that? So the second thing that we need to do is to talk and to open communication with our supporting system, our husband, not our husband, with my husband. With my husband, for example, and with your supporting system, for example, with your mother or your father or probably your little sister or your big sisters helping you out with this. Talk to your loved ones. Talk to your supporting system. Because sometimes we as a woman tend to think by ourselves, try to solve things by ourselves. We end up frustrated. So we need to talk, we need to address, we need to put everything on the table and see what solution that we can have. And from there, try to adapt or to adjust. So there's no such thing as balance, but you can manage your, your energy, for example, and really understand about yourself. How high is your energy? How low is your energy? And you cannot compare as per se between you and your friend, even with your best friend, for example. Each of us has a different level of energy. So really understand about your capacity and be realistic and optimize your potential.
I would say there is no perfect formula for that. There is no perfect recipe. You just have to try to do your own thing and find out the rhythm. You know, today I want to do this, and then after work I want to do a bit of drinking with friends or dinner. But, you know, tomorrow I have to focus on this one. Or On weekend, I will do my sport or things like that. You just have to find your own rhythm and then stick to it and be consistent to it. So that would be.
Okay, thanks. Next question in the white shirt in the middle there.
I'm Sojana from Cambodia, and I joined the YSEALI Academy. And just follow up from our session, and you have just mentioned about the support system from the family, from friend, from husband, and also I still have question like we talk along the way when we came here with our friend from Cambodia, like the support system from the workplace, from your boss. So I just want to I want you to share more tips to us, like how to build more support system at the workplace, especially how to advocate your boss, like to support and like to give us more flexibility and within the working and life balance. So thank you.
Okay, thanks. So I think the main thrust of the question is building a support system, right? So at work, okay.
I think the first thing is you have to be professional and deliver in the workplace. So that's the most important thing. So when you deliver, other people will trust that you can, really, if you have to go somewhere, for instance, for your daughter's graduation or for report or whatever, or performance usually, they believe that you will go back to work and finish, and you will always deliver your performance. So basically, that's the first thing. Others, there are choices in workplace, many workplace. All of us here, coincidentally, we're working for multinational corporation, but there are many choices of places to work. You can do part-time, you can do NGO, you can have your own business, you can have, working hours is quite flexible. So it's about your choices. So I think, you can build your support system at work if you're good at what you're doing. Don't worry about that. So that's what I thought.
I think I talked earlier about trust. So you build trust with your colleagues, you build trust with your mentors, whoever is your supervisor. Basically, don't lie. If you need to go for your kids' performance, because you need to go for your kids' performance, not to go for party because your friend's hosting one and you can't miss it. So I guess that's one. And then be professionals. For me is that if I need to finish up something and I can't do it because my kid's birthday is on the weekend, so I'll try to work until late. I mean, I will miss dinner, but I will be able to attend my daughter's birthday party. So I guess in a way, you just have to balance both. Like I said, you can't win all, but you have to have a system yourself on depending, of course, on what you're doing. And then you pretty much work on it, around it. And basically, people just have to trust you that you deliver on time.
I think the key ingredients here is, again, open communication with your team and with your boss. In a sense that this is what I'm doing. Usually, for example, December is usually a holiday, right? So I talk with my team and I said that who's going to have a long holiday? And then they start to say that, okay, I'm going to have this holiday this time. So planning is very important, and open communication is very important in your team, yeah, with your team, with your boss. So what's important is for you also is to plan ahead. For example, your son's graduations, right? It's not all of a sudden and tomorrow you have to attend. Usually it's 2 weeks announcement from the school. So start to plan that, and also start to plan all the responsibility that you have to deliver. For example, at that time you can project that within that 2 weeks, I will also have to submit my deadline. So manage that. And talk with your friends, talk with your colleague, talk with your peers. Okay, I will have this sort of half-day leave, and can you help me? Can you support me in this? And after that, I will also support you in many other times, for example. So please manage it with your colleagues and manage it with your team And secondly, I also believe in terms of professionalism and deliver a good performance. Work-life flexibility comes with its territory. Once you can deliver your performance, you can deliver results and excellent in your work, your boss will leave you alone. That means they will trust you, they will let you do whatever you want with your personal life one day or another. For example, you ask for an excuse to go to your daughter's birthday party, for example, or you have to accompany your mom to the hospital. They will give you a permission because they know that you can manage it. They know that in a way you can still deliver your deadline, you can be accountable for, and you are a responsible person, a mature person that can still deliver whatever it is that becomes your responsibility, regardless of the flexibility that you ask at your work.
Okay, thanks. Let me just check on our time. Do we have time for one or two more questions? What do you think, Andrea? Okay. Yeah, I think we could go for a long time here, but let's say, is it okay with the panel if we do two more, maybe? Okay, great. All right, let's give this side of the room a chance. Can't see too well, but the person looks like they're wearing black. And yes, that person, waving their hand, yes.
Hi, I'm Helen. Thank you, ladies, for being so inspiring. Maybe we've heard before that the worst boss that you can have is a lady boss. Have you heard that? Have you ever experienced that? And have you ever had a lady boss or a female as your boss? Or how do you actually deal with that if you have a male subordinate who thinks that, oh man, my boss is a female and that's the worst that I can get? Thank you.
Okay. My experience, I've had a female boss, I've had a male subordinates, I've had a male boss, I had it all. And the problem is if a man being decisive and being straightforward, they will be considered good. But if a woman does that, they will be considered bitchy. So so that's all about perception. I think I really wanna remove that stereotyping out of the question, because I think I've had a female boss that were, I think, were not easy, but I've had a male boss that were not easy in different ways. So I don't like the stereotyping. Of course, female is unique, man is unique. They're not the same, but we just have to understand the pluses and the minuses and how to deal with the bosses. So I think perception is everything. So just get rid of it and then just stay professional.
I agree with you about the BG part. But I found that when you have a male boss, they are actually more forgiving because they somewhat pity you in a way, because you have to take care of your kids because they have wives at home. So they kind of relate to what you've been doing. Plus, you have to work and their wives don't have to work. So that's actually the difference. So I guess in a way, have a female boss is actually somewhat that more relate to you. They understand. They have to go to school performance. They have to take the report card. They have to prepare for the birthday party. They somewhat relate to you more rather than the male boss. But I think removing those stereotypes, I think it should be in this world now. I guess we always talk about like male, female. I kind of disagree with the gender stereotype because everybody has the same opportunity. We have the same opportunity. We live in the world that actually providing that. So I guess stereotyping it should not be there anymore.
Yeah, I think I agree with Ella and Donna in this regard. And I think what's important for all of us here is how to manage our boss. because that's important for you to survive. We cannot choose our boss, but boss can choose us, right? They can hire us, they can fire us. What we need to do is how to manage our boss. That's very important. Sometimes we forget to manage our boss. So that's another skill that you need to have in order to be successful in your workplace.
Okay, one last question. The person with the white shirt in the second row? Yes.
Thank you. Hello. Hi. Can you hear me? Awesome. Thank you. Hi, my name is Amy. I'm from Brunei. Amazing experiences that you all have. And what's really amazing, you're all from very male-dominated industries. I've worked in male-dominated industries. It can be hard. What's the hardest thing that each of you have faced working in that industry, and how do you overcome it?
Waking up early and have to entertain the kids, that's very hard. So I don't do that because I know I can't do that. So I think, again, being stereotyping, because they thought, or most thought, that because we are female, then we can't do what they do. I think I do better than most of the male do. That's because I have the confidence on doing it. Removing that stereotype, I think it's very important. It is in your mind, and I remove that. So I think I'm as equally capable, if not better, than most of it. I have the same opportunity. And I have 2 kids at home. So basically, what I always told my juniors is that if you can't do this, that means you're losing out, because I have 2 kids at home that I have to entertain, and I am here, or where I am, I survived over the last years. So can you? So I don't think that that is the reason. I mean, I don't see that male-dominated. We like to create that name, but I don't think that that should be an issue.
I agree. As long as you are professionals and you deliver quality work, it doesn't matter it's male-dominated or not male-dominated. It doesn't matter your gender. Your work will speak for itself, and you can be relied upon. So that's the most important.
All right, great. Well, I think we have some time issues here, so we better wrap up. But it's been a wonderful discussion. I really like to thank our panelists. Can you join me in thanking the panelists? I also would like to thank the audience for asking such excellent questions. So thank you. So now we'd like to wrap up and return the stage to our Ad America team for the next program on the agenda. And we'll have some time for mingling afterwards. Thank you.
All right, please give another round of applause for the speaker and also Daniel. And I would like to invite the speaker and also Daniel to take a photo with our logo. And I would like to also invite YSEALI Women Leadership Academy participants to join the speakers for a photo session. And I would like to say thank you all for participating for today's event, and see you in another Ad America event. Bye.